Welcome back to our Bluesy Water channel. Today we're going to go over a program for the brain and nervous system. So in this part we're going to go over what's called the trauma release program, why that's so important for fundamentally healing the brain and the nervous system. Obviously everybody knows what stress can do and the damage stress can do. So a trauma release program is a way to profoundly get into the core foundations of stress. But before we go on to that, we're just going to do a quick overview of what this whole protocol is. So the trauma release program is what we're going to cover today. In our next video, we're going to go over our detox program and also a bit of nutrition. So just briefly, detox is critical because there are many toxins that directly affect the nervous system of the brain and the endocrine gland system. Example, children exposed to lead, the dangers of aluminum contributing to dementia and Alzheimer's, and the heavy metals in general, things that disrupt, chemicals that disrupt the endocrine gland system, which is intricately tied to the nervous system, such as toxic halides such as chlorine, bromine, and fluoride, which alter the thyroid. So generally, environmental toxins can profoundly create imbalances to the brain, the nervous system, and the endocrine gland system. So beyond that, we'll go over some key nutrients which are found here that actually feed the brain, the nervous system. So it's really critical to do all these three things. We want to profoundly change the whole wiring of the brain and nervous system. We want to remove critical toxins, and we want to feed key nutrients to the body. So let's move on now to the trauma release resources, and we'll go in here. Okay, so obviously anyone suffering with trauma, PTSD, anxiety knows the intensity of those feelings, and they want to relieve themselves of those feelings. We don't really think physiologically as much about what's contributing. So these are physiological practices that immediately start to unwind the nervous system. Now, the first practice we have is called Breathe Like a Yogi for Dummies. This is a blog that explains in very simple terms the physiology of proper breathing and how to do this in a no-brainer way. But very simply, the Russians did study the yogis and found out that most people are over-breathing and they're getting rid of too much CO2. Traditionally, people think CO2 is a very bad gas. Actually, it's a beautiful gas that causes the body to unwind and to let go. So when you do this breathing practice, which we've simplified to a very easy no-brainer practice, you literally force the body into a yogic breathing state. And basically now when the body can deconstrict, it can receive way more oxygen, the brain gets way more oxygenated, and all the cells in the body literally can receive way more oxygen by literally unchoking the stress response. So this blog, Breathe Like a Yogi for Dummies, will explain why it's so vital to do this practice. So this is the number one thing that one would want to do. And we actually monitored this with an EEG and watched how incredibly calm the whole system went into a meditative state, and it kept incrementing and incrementing, and by 25 minutes in, the monitor showed a 91% meditative state. So this is great for health. The Russians use this yogic breathing practice. They adopted it into a breathing technique created by Dr. Buteyko to work on all kinds of diseases. So this crosses into health, into literally the anxiety and the trauma. It's a core practice for all health and well-being. The trauma release exercises are basically learning how to do what animals do when they go into a freeze response when they're in crisis. There are several people that studied this. One is Peter Levine in a work called Somatic Experiencing, and another is David Berceli, who actually created these exercises. And they both observed what animals do to come out of trauma. So basically, in terms of the brain and the nervous system, we are taught to basically suppress the body's natural release responses, and we're actually taught to hold a lot of traumatic patterns. And this is obviously just due to our very strange socialization. We're not taught to pay attention to the body signaling and honors the body's wisdom. So many people are suppressing the body's wisdom and judging their own natural desire to let go and relax as in negative terms. So when you practice these exercises, you literally reclaim your letting go natural body's wisdom state. We live in this culture where essentially a lot of people believe that if they're not in a stress physiological mode, they won't survive. And it's kind of a vicious circle because many people do exist in this mode and are so-called successful. However, they pay an enormous price. It's very imperative to understand that if you can achieve a really unwinding, peaceful state, you can achieve great success, a much deeper. Obviously, first success is you have peace. Second success is everything you do will function in a much more integrated fashion. So we move on to other practices that unwind the nervous system. One is called the Chi. These are all, by the way, linked. You can follow the links to videos and to other parts of our website. The Chi machine with a theracane is another spine unwinding practice. You're using a machine. I don't know if we can get in here. Let's see. So here we go. There's a video. We'll just show you a brief. In fact, we'll mute it. Anyhow, this is a rocking of the spine. This is Chris here. And so basically this machine rocks the entire spine. This theracane here is used to hit key meridian points along the back of the spine, which we'll show you here. Yeah, he's using, so you're essentially just doing some simple self-acupressure points as you rock, and this is extremely unwinding on the nervous system. We like to teach and show this practice in integration with the trauma release exercises, because if the meridian points are very profound at hitting key unwinding points, and this is something you can instinctively learn to do. Chris did this actually for the first time in this video, and he got the hang of it right away. So this is a very, very, very good practice. So Chi machine with theracane, easy to learn. And by the way, the trauma release exercises, we teach people all over the country over the phone. All you need is a camera, and we need to see you on the floor. And okay, so this is a very comforting and soothing on the spine, and this is a deeper access, you might say. So you want to have both the deep access, really get to the root memories housed in the spine and the brain, doing the trauma release exercises. By the way, this goes to the traumaprevention.com website, and here you could get all kinds of information on the trauma release exercises. This is used a lot with PTSD vets, and people get on the floor and they start to tremble, and this is a simple way that he discovered to rekindle. See, there's the trembling there. The exercises actually wake up this trembling mechanism in the body. They're called tremors, and I call it your own internal vibration machine. So the warm-up exercises are the key to getting into the trembling, and we can teach you that very easily. Another dynamic therapy that affects the entire body and is very similar to TRE is using a whole body vibration machine. So a whole body vibration machine is also very unwinding on the nervous system, and it mimics actually what the trauma release exercises do. It actually is a machine creating that trembling vibratory state and allowing the system to ungrip, to let go. We have a term we call the grip of death, so it's really important to understand that breaking this grip, this stress response. I can't let go. Everyone talks about letting go. These are physiological practices that actually train you to let go. So the vibration therapy program is taking the vibration machine and it combines it with a tool that can tactically hit very stuck areas in your body called a rapid release tool. This is a bodywork kind of approach that we can teach you to do on yourself. And the rapid release tool allows you then to target very specific blocked areas and combine it with the vibration machine. And in addition, you learn to do the TRE exercises, which create this fundamental unwinding at the root system of the spine. So when you start combining all these vibration technologies together, you can achieve extraordinary results. Then tack on, let's see, number 1 and number 3, you're getting further unwinding. They're all contributing to the same phenomena, letting go, unwinding physiologically. We'll cover the Maximize Your Bluesy Water program in our next video, why it's so important to get rid of these incredible toxins that can create havoc on the brain and the nervous system. In terms of healing the brain, if there's been tremendous trauma to the brain, whether it be physical or mental, emotional, photobiomodulation is a particular form of near-infrared light therapy that actually has been proven to heal very challenged situations of traumatic brain injury and basically regenerates brain cells. It's used with dementia, Alzheimer's. We'll have a link below to this whole document so you can follow all these hyperlinks and read about all these protocols. But basically this is a strategic therapy for the brain to heal the brain cells. Now if you don't let go, if you do not do the rest of this, if you're continually stressed out, the brain is going to continually be damaged. If you're continually choking yourself out, you're not going to get nutrients. This is another form of a therapy that uses a stimulation of the vagus nerve to get the vagus nerve is very unwinding and relaxing and helps improve the neurotransmitters. This has been used extensively and studied extensively, so you could follow the link to that. The rest of the brain and the nervous system is now going a little deeper. So where do these memories come from? Ho'oponopono is a spiritual teaching system and very pragmatic that essentially talks about how the moment we're conceived, we're carrying the software, the programs of our ancestors. It's like buying one computer and transferring the programs from one to the next. So these micro programs are very much like viruses. They come from, we don't come with a clean slate. It's not like all of a sudden, we have zero programming. So we learn it both from our parents, but we actually carry it deep within our wiring. We have obviously we look like our parents, so we actually carry these memory matrices, much like a virus. And so this practice in trauma release really digs down into the deeper states of consciousness where you can start cleaning these profoundly held memories that are literally passed down multi-generationally. Why understand and do these practices? Because if you clean these core programs that are almost, we would say, like in cyberspace viruses exist, well, these programs, where are they, how do they go from generation to generation? This gets into a much deeper study of how consciousness works. But if you understand and get a sense of this practice, you can affect profound memories. And when you're doing your cleaning practice or your unwinding practice using all these techniques, you can start to understand that you're accessing some very subtle core memories housed in the body and start to literally what they call clean or erase these viruses. That can make a difference between life and death, literally success and failure. These core programs, much like viruses on a computer, steal your energy body. They steal your energy. They paralyze you. You're in fear. So we all know one way or the other to let go and unwind is just vital and critical to functioning. It's a little more of a reach now to dig into where these programs are coming from, et cetera, but just know that they've existed for thousands of years, and human race hasn't changed very much, so we seem to still operate under very foundational downdraft subconscious programming. The emotion code is a practice that allows you to access these memories. It is a specific tracking practice. It's very intuitive, and one can essentially start to track very key subconscious memories. It's a really intriguing, simple to do practice once you learn it. If you click on that link, you can get a free ebook and read all about it. It's really interesting stuff. We really just recently started launching this trauma release program as a whole program, and we've had a few people do it, and they both have had outstanding success. Here's one real life testimonial. You can also go to, just for the trauma release exercises, go to their website and see all the testimonials. It is really important to do this integration as of many techniques as possible. So please understand that I've had people who just do trauma release exercises have called me and said, it triggered too much trauma, or I'm still in a lot of physical pain. So when you integrate all these practices, you can start to work the entire system, not just the deep memories, because the deep memories work into the body. And if you've housed memories for 20 or 30, 40 years, there's intricate, matrices in the body that need to be unwound. So it's really imperative you do as much as possible, because trauma is very complex and it creates brain wiring, nervous system wiring. So this is really our fundamental approach to healing the brain and the nervous system. In our next video, we will go into the toxins, the environmental toxins, and our detox program. If you tackle basically this deep, profound neurological stress doing these practices, and then you go after the toxins, you will have dramatic effects changing in your whole state of well-being. This is if you do the right skills, it's very deep work, very profound work, and you can really achieve so much more in a shorter period of time if you really understand these two core practices. So thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.